Let's say there's a lady who has one of any of the 5 issues you pointed out. Is that enough for them not to be married or not to find a man? Let's take the first point, to attitude. Let's say there's a woman who is good in every way, but just has an attitude problem. Is that enough? What about the second point? I think that's about friendship, friends. Is it enough? And I was asking myself that question, and somewhere down the line, it just occurred to me that it's almost impossible for you to have just one of those problems. If a woman has an attitude problem, then there's a possibility it's as a result of pride. There's a possibility she has anger issues. There's a possibility she has she's not healed from previous relationships or from something in the past. And there's also that possibility she would have very bad friends who encourage such very bad Christ-like attitude. In response, I would agree with all the points you made. I think you made very, very valid points. But I dare say that if you're talking to any group of persons that has one of those problems, then his problem or their problem is not that particular problem. Their problem is something else. And so, on top of all that list, here's what I will say is the first thing every woman needs to understand, especially if you're in that situation where you've not found a man to marry, or even a man for that matter. I think that the first thing, therefore, should be God. Ecclesiastes 3 says he makes all things beautiful in his time. Psalm 62, I think, says he sets the solitary in family, but the rebellious dwells in the dry land. There is no doubt that if any lady finds herself in that situation, the first place to look up to is God. When Rachel came into the house, when she got married after 14 years of Jacob working for her, she cried out to Jacob when she had spent some time in the house and she didn't have a child. It's just almost the same thing as crying out for a husband. And she held Jacob one day and said, "Give me a child or I die." And Jacob said something very amazing to her in the book of Genesis. He said, "Am I in the place of God to you?" What he was saying, therefore, is, am I God? Only God can do what you're looking for. And I dare say that to every woman. Only God can give you what you're expecting for. The Bible says, again, he makes all things beautiful in his time. Only God can give you a husband. And sometimes it's not the attitude. I know bad women who are in marriages now. I know very good women who will honor a man if God gives them one, but they are not married. So sometimes it's not the attitude thing. It's God. David said, I will extol thee, O Lord, for you have lifted me up, and you have saved me from my enemies, so that he cannot rejoice over me. O God, I cry to thee, and you have healed me. You brought my soul up from the grave. You gave me life, and you shielded me. Sing unto the Lord, O ye saints of his, and give thanks, remembering his holiness. For weeping endures for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. I believe that if you're going to experience joy in the morning, like David, you must also experience the place where God is your refuge. It is him that you run. And that brings me to, I think, one other point you made, to take time and be healed. That's what we go to God for. That's what we are Christians for, that we can come before God boldly and obtain mercy and grace and find healing for our soul and find correction for our soul. It makes no sense correcting your social media pictures. It makes no sense correcting, putting up good pictures, removing ugly ones. You can't fix an image. I keep saying this, there's an image of my hand on the screen right there. There's an image of it, and you can see that image. If there's a problem, I don't like the shape of my hand. If it looks ugly like a monster, I can keep wasting my time trying to fix that, or I can fix this. If I fix this, then that is fixed. So let's not waste our time trying to fix images. Let's fix us. And Christians fix us by going to God. I also think about the first point you made when you talked about Beyonce and the song, all you single ladies, I wondered who she was. Who is Beyonce? Is she Paul the Apostle's wife? I don't think so. I guess she's the pastor of this church. No, she's not a pastor. Beyonce is a musician. She might be a child of God, but we know some songs she sings. Just leave it at that. But what amazes me is how the life of a child of God can be messed up by a song by Beyonce. If you're listening to Beyonce's song, then your problem is not Beyonce's song. Your problem is you. You are very right. It has destroyed the personality, the true Christ-like personality of women, and they are getting satisfied being single, not knowing how to submit to men and stuff like that. And it wasn't just that song. There was To the Left, remember? Everything you own in a box, to the left. Just take a moment and think of that word, that you would ever say that to somebody. Right now, you are on your knees crying for God to send you a help. And then at some point, you find out that you don't like the man anymore, and then you say everything you own in a box to the left. I dare say that if you have a problem dealing with the people who you want to move out of your life, if you shove their things in a box and ask them to get out, it's going to take God a while to send you another of his kids, because they run away, they go away and need healing, and he's spending time healing them, and he might slow down giving you another of his child because he knows where that one is coming to. Be nice to even those you don't love. The Bible says love your enemies. I don't know why we can't do it as Christians. I don't know why divorce rates are high, and I don't know why we're having situations where exes cannot talk. We're all going to heaven if we're all believers. Do you know that? We're all going to heaven. The Bible says, Jesus says, in my Father's house there are many mansions, that those mansions will be with very high walls, so that we cannot see each other. You cannot say hi to your ex, and our service or worship times before the throne of Jesus will be very different times, because we